All right, it's Brock and Salk, and we are brought to you by Kia of Puyallup. As promised, Mayor Ed Murray sitting down with us here in studio. Big day for you later today. Press conference set for 2:30 at Seattle Center. What should we expect to hear at that press conference?
Well, we sent out two proposals on Key Arena, the building originally known as the Seattle Pavilion during the World's Fair. We want to bring basketball. We want the Sonics back. We want a hockey team. We want an arena that can be a number one entertainment center. And I have chosen the Oakview Group as the one for us to go forward and work with. Both proposals were good, but theirs was really a complete new arena built under the existing roof by digging 15 feet down lower. And also theirs was private financing. The other proposal had some good points to it, particularly how it integrated with the rest of the Seattle Center, but there was public financing issues, and it wasn't the complete rebuild. I think we've been down this path before where we do sort of a renovation rebuild at Key Arena and then find ourselves with problems.
They need to do it again, essentially, and you think this will last longer?
Well,
is that
yeah,
what
I
you're
mean,
saying?
I'm looking for a 50-year fix here.
But that other group went public and sent a letter for all of us to see a week ago. Your reaction to the letter that AEG sent you?
So they sent a letter a week ago asking for us to basically redo the process. You know, we've been at this for almost a decade and a half, 2 decades. It's time to make a decision. We had a good process. We had a thorough process. I made a decision late on Friday, and they withdrew over the weekend.
Were you surprised by that letter?
The one over the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Well, evidently my decision that I'd made late on Friday had leaked out.
Okay, well, that I think explains why you think the letter came out. So is that a case of sour grapes? I mean, I don't want to put you two on the spot, but does that just feel like sour grapes?
Well, I'm not going to judge.
Okay.
You know what? I had two proposals. I thought both of them were good. Both of them had potential. One just was better.
But you're confident in the transparency of the process?
Oh, absolutely. I think the process has been transparent. We had a citizen review committee. We've dealt with folks, people can do all those public disclosure requests and see that we did a pretty good process.
All right, so explain to me the public versus private financing. Obviously, that's a big part of it for you. People can see the plans. They can look at the design. They can look at the way this arena is going to look and how it will fit and all the reasons why you would choose it from a design perspective. Explain how the financing works, because a lot of that was redacted early, and I'll be honest, I think most of us, myself included, don't fully understand what all of that means.
Sure. Well, the group that withdrew requested $250 million in city bonding capacity. I think that's really hard politically in this city with folks, and I think it would be probably impossible to get through the council. I could see the argument breaking down into why don't we spend $250 million in building more housing for the homeless. It was clear to me that what I heard from people out there is they wanted private financing. Now, having said that, all three of these, including the Hansen deal, want some admission tax or B&O change or those sorts of things that we'll negotiate as we go forward.
Chris Hansen sat in that seat and said he wants this process to be vetted and nitpicked the way that his has over the last 8 years. Will it?
Well, I'm sure will. This is Seattle. We nitpick everything, and when we don't like something, we blame it on process. I would say that instead of throwing a process together like his and running over the other players down there, the unions, the port, and others, we actually worked with people. Well, so his process was one, and I supported it as I said I would support it. I sent it to council, but it really wasn't a process. We went to council with the other stakeholders in that area fighting with each other. We don't have that situation here, and we're about to engage with the neighborhoods and with this group that we're going to work with on making sure it works for the neighborhood, making sure it works for the Seattle Center so that we can get the Sonics back and we can get a hockey team.
So if I understand, Mayor Murray joining us here on Brock and Salk, if I understand the process, the next step in this is you've got to send something to council where they've got to pass a resolution authorizing you to negotiate either a contract or an MOU or something with Oakview Group, right?
MOU at this point. It would be the council would give us parameters of what they're looking for. We would work with the council on that. we would enter into those negotiations and then send legislation. And in this case, probably an MOU, which we think we can do by the end of this year and get this finally settled.
So when do those two votes happen? You essentially need two votes of council, right? The first one to authorize you to negotiate, the second one to, approve what's negotiated?
Council doesn't actually have to pass a resolution to offer me. They could, or tell me to negotiate. They could send a letter. But some action.
Do you think, when would that happen? What would be the timing?
Next few weeks.
Okay, and you expect that to be done?
Yeah.
You think that'll be positive? You're not worried about votes? That just happens?
No, I think we'll enter into negotiations.
So what is the mood of the council then? I mean, that's sort of the other big question here, and I think sports fans have run into it in the past. The current group before elections take place, where do you think the mood of this council is?
Well, so the council before I became mayor felt fairly burned by some of the processes around arenas. Several councils over several mayors. So we've been working very, very closely to keep them updated. I think they have an open mind. I think that they'd like to see key work. Remember, the arena, if we had opened an arena at Soto, the city would have had an asset that would have been a drain on the taxpayers. It would take at least $150 million to renovate it, but who was going to use it? And we have huge issues with the roof. So I think council looks as this as a possible path to solve several problems. They're not there yet. They're going to do their own process because, as I said, they've felt burned over many, many years.
You've been a politician for how many years?
I've been in elective office for 22 years.
How would you characterize this sports politics?
The last thing I thought I'd ever get involved in is arenas or stadiums, and sports politics has been, I would say, a little more volatile and a little more vicious than I had anticipated.
Why?
There's huge amounts of money involved. There's huge passion. The fans have a really great attitude. They just want government and big business to come up with a solution so they can go to a game. But the folks behind the scenes, the leagues play with owners around money, and cities are competitions are, Seattle sometimes I think has been used by some of these leagues. So it's an interesting world.
And that passion makes sense. I mean, as we've said on this show many times, it is the only thing in life that is as uniting as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think of the Seahawks parade, when we won the Super Bowl, 700,000 people, the largest parade in the state's history. Not one single incident, not one single
problem.
People
were too happy.
And people, I'd been only in office for a few weeks, and people were congratulating me. And all I did was watch the game.
You did a great job on that.
I watched the game really well.
All right, let me ask you about two L words. I'm going to get to legacy in a moment, but I want to start with leverage. When you start these negotiations with Oakview Group over the course of the next, 6 months or so,
Sure.
before the end of the year, you want to try to get that done. What needs to be done? There's traffic concerns. There are parking concerns. This is not a perfect proposal as it is currently. You accepted an RFP, not a bid, not a final product.
Right. Absolutely.
What kind of leverage do you have to get some of the concessions that I think people in Seattle and sports fans that we talk to every day are demanding? Because the mood of the people Brock asked me about earlier when it comes to especially parking and traffic is not exactly rosy.
Yeah, no, it's not. And it's not rosy, any way you look at it. Their parking garage is a non-starter for us. A transportation plan that can move people out from other spots into the arena is going to be incredibly important, and we need to see that developed. Our leverage is, this neighborhood is so different than it was 11 years ago. You look at Amazon, you look at Expedia showing up, you look at all the other high-tech companies and biotech companies, you look at a vibrant neighborhood like Uptown. You have folks who can walk. You have folks who can walk out of their job and walk right over and see a game or watch great musical entertainment. It's a very different dynamic, and part of our leverage is people want to be in that spot. And this is just the beginning of making Seattle Center the millennial park like Chicago has, the iconic place that it once was in 1962.
If it wasn't viable then, how is it viable now?
Well, it's viable now because people were banging on our doors to have a chance to get in there and use it. And since the day I came into office, I've had people come from around the country saying, we really want to talk to you about Key Arena. They see what's happened. An entire second downtown has been built right next door to it. Vibrant neighborhoods that didn't exist before are there. There's more density. They see what's happening, and we know, like the new arena in Brooklyn. You get off the subway and you're right there in a neighborhood. They get it.
Okay, I'm talking to a career politician here. I'm a 8-year sports broadcaster, but I'm looking at a career politician. How does your term over the next 6 months here?
7.
Excuse me, 7. 7. How does your term over the next 7 months affect this politically? Affect this process?
You mean the fact that it's ending in 7 months?
Yes.
Well, I was elected for 4 years, and it reminds me of when President Obama sent his Supreme Court nominee, and the Republicans had decided, well, you're not going to be president again, so we're not going to act on what you want to do. This isn't D.C., this is Seattle. We need to get things done. This has gone on too long. In many ways, the fact that I'm not going to be, I am now a lame duck, to use a political term, it frees me up to, be more honest, be more open, be more, be a little more hardball.
So you're more hardball. That's interesting.
I'm always honest and open, but it may be a little more honest and open in the press.
So you can twist arms in a way that you might not have been able to do if you were going to continue to be here. Is that your?
I like to get people together and see where we can get. Sometimes you twist a few arms. Sometimes you get people to shake hands.
I guess, where does Soto sit in that? Because if you're in our seats, Ed, and you're looking at our texts every day and our tweets and everything else, there is an incredible emotional connection to Soto. Soto feels new. It feels unencumbered. It feels clean. It feels as if it's one of ours that's going to spend and has spent his own money. Where does Soto come into play in this process?
Well, so Soto was taken to the council, and the council voted it down. And that remains a reality. And the Soto site has some real problems with it. And the Soto site doesn't have a team, and there isn't anybody coming forward to say that they're going to partner, and it's going to take more than Chris Hansen to bring a team in. So we need to get real. When I went back and met with Commissioner Silver at the NBA, I was rather stunned when he said, we're not coming. We have a TV contract. Our owners are happy. And when that TV contract's up, we'll talk. So we have a chance right now to get something done on public property without people needing a streetification and the like. And I think it's a fastest way to get the Sonics here. And it's the fastest way to get a hockey team here.
When you were here with us the last time, we know you got to run, and as do we, I guess, in a moment or two. But when you were here the last time, you mentioned right at the end how important you thought this was to your legacy. At that time, it was before you had decided not to run for re-election, but you talked about the importance of this to your legacy. Why? Why is it so? Why is this project so important to you?
It's as I said, it's not something I ever led on, or I kind of walked into it with the job. But for me, I thought it, given some of the stereotypes, some which have been reiterated recently, that if the first gay mayor of a major city could build an arena and bring a basketball and a hockey team, or at least put the process in place, I'd think that would help break down some of the stereotypes that exist out there.
And is it going to get done?
It's going to get done.
Is it going to get done?
In 2003, I started in that's not when I started, but we began the process of funding taking down the viaduct. That was my bill. In 03-05, we funded that. It was my bill to dig a tunnel, a deep bore tunnel. That went through. It's done. It's happening. The viaduct's coming down. A park's going to be built. You do these things right, they can happen.
We're going to be debating that actually next. Brock and I are going to have a full-scale debate on the
viaduct, the tunnel. We're not going to have the tunnel. The tunnel's done.
Yeah, we're going to debate it. That's what we do here, right?
Okay.
We're going to debate that. That seems like it's.
What
not
do you expect the
divisive
temperature to be at 2:00 today?
2:30.
Temperature outside?
Nah. What do you expect the temperature in that room? What do you expect the temperature of the sports fan?
I think people are excited. I think people are really excited. And when they saw the two proposals, a lot of folks I know who follow sports in detail were pretty surprised at the quality of the two proposals. And so I think people are going to be excited. And when they see we have a way forward and a way to finance it that's private financing, I think I know there'll be heartache because Chris Hansen did try, and we need to give him credit for that. But I think we have a way forward.
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, we were asking people about it today, and I think something is going to bring people and make them think it's real. I don't know whether today will be that moment or not. It may be when a team signs on the dotted line. It may be when a shovel hits the ground. It may be when it's completed. I don't know what that moment will be, but it's a process. That's for sure.
No, it's definitely a process.
It's a long process.
And I think in the months ahead, people will see other pieces of this fall in place, and it'll get them more excited.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. The press conference is today at 2:30. Mayor Ed Murray, thank you so much.
Good to see you all.
All right, we'll be right back. It's Brock and Salk.